I'm Matt Ogden. This man right here is Mr. Richard Sykes, and welcome back to By George From Page to Stage, the weekly podcast all about the Chip Shop musical that this man wrote. So, Rich.
Yes.
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about a particular number today, and it's called Two Horse Race.
Excellent.
This is, it's like a Cockney knees-up number.
Yeah.
And I know it's a Yorkshire musical, but the umcha kind of pervades both genres, let's put it like that. And I loved writing this one because it's filthy. It's absolutely filthy. You'll be supping from the dregs with 16 hands between your legs. So all the horse race puns I could possibly think of went into this number. And it's a duet between George and Harry. And it's a good knees up thing. And it happens about maybe 15 minutes into the show.
So is this the first... This is the first moment where the audience get to see Harry and George's relationship dynamic?
Yeah, effectively.
Yeah. And so the relationship that we've kind of talked about so far, it sounds like George can't wait to finish work at the chip shop because he's always itching to get into the pub.
He hates it, man.
Yeah.
He hates working at the chippy. And of course, this is based on a guy I knew. And yeah, he absolutely loathed it. Couldn't wait till closing time. But yes, so George goes straight from there to the pub and spends everything they've earned during the time.
I was just about to say, I imagine that like the first thing that happens is Harry puts the pint down before George has even ordered it because it's always the same.
Yep.
Probably always at the same time. Mr. Consistent. He's next door, so it's not like he can't see him coming.
And there'll be his bar stool will be moulded like memory foam to the contours of his.
To your bottom.
Yes. I must mould my bottom before we go any further. Yeah, I must remember to do that.
We'll do a podcast on that.
Oh yeah.
Moulding Richard's bum.
That'll be incisive. I think it's been done before. Anyway, so Two Horse Race is about George has just been come on to by Marge,
right?
Who's made a real play for him in the pub
Already.
Already.
On in the
show. Lord, yes, because she's realised that George has a rather sizable disposable income.
Should we put a pause in between sizable and disposable income?
Well, Marge does. So yes, there's no reason why we should leave any double entendre unturned. Yeah. So that happens, and George then has to choose.
Yeah.
Does he go with the new model, or does he go for the older model but more reliable?
Yeah.
And he chooses to do it by thinking about horse racing because he's betting on horses.
Yeah.
And so he chooses that sort of mode to choose between the two. Which would you go for? Would you go for the slow and steady, or would you go for the new one out of the traps?
Which of course is Marge.
Of course.
Yeah. So you have that dynamic of him saying to Harry, I'm not sure, he's at a bit of a quandary where he's thinking, do I stick with a good thing that I've got that's reliable and kind of just always been there, or do I go for something that's got new legs, so to speak?
So to speak, exactly.
Yeah.
Every single line has a double entendre.
Of course it does.
There isn't one without. So it's massively sexist.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what George is. And of course, he's going to get a huge fall towards the end, but that's part of the parcel of the musical, really.
So should we take a look at some of the rehearsal footage?
We'll take a look at the rehearsal footage, and then we'll come back and I'll tell you what we did to it.
Awesome. All right, take a look, guys.
There's a race of fillies in me two-horse race, and the winner gets together with a stud. The older one is struggling to make the pace, but she led it while the going wasn't good. The newer one has better form and goes each way, but I know she'll never come in second place, 'cause with her stamina and strength, I'm sure she'll soon be up a length and win the two-horse race.
Very fun, wasn't it? So Two Horse Race.
Yeah.
So for me, watching that and doing some of the filming, all I kept thinking was, this this feels like something out of an old sitcom. It
Yes.
feels, and like it sounds really obvious, and especially when you listen to the fact that, you know, 2-horse race. But I kind of leaned towards Mr. W, Mr. Alan Warmby,
Yeah.
whilst you were actually getting started with the number, and I went, this reminds me of Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah.
Just the way he leaned up at the bar, and it just felt like I was watching a sitcom.
It's exactly how it should feel.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
should feel like you're in a pub in the 70s
Yeah.
because of this massive misogyny that's going on.
Because all the lines were just everything you'd expect
Yeah.
from that era.
Yeah.
And George is just copied and pasted from probably his dad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And it shouldn't be anything else other than that. The audience will be able to spot this song a mile off.
Yeah.
But one of the issues we had was, or that I had, was with the orchestration. I wanted, now I don't know if our audience is going to know this. I know you're not old enough to know this, but there was an impressionist called Rory Bremner.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember Rory Bremner?
Name's familiar.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
he was a brilliant impressionist. And he used to do a lot of commentators, cricket commentators, football commentators, but he also did horse commentators.
Yeah, if you played him to me, I'd probably know who he is.
Yeah, that's right.
I used to love impersonations when I was
But more to that, the horse commentary he used to do on a mic, and he used to do it like this. So, and they're coming into the final run, and so he used to roll the mic with his fingers as he did it. So, drum, 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 drum.
Yeah.
It was all done on one mic, and then when there was a jump, he would lift his fingers off and then come back. Drum, 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 drum.
Yeah.
It was very funny, beautifully observed, and nicely done.
Under holy orders, and they're off. And straight into the lead goes Yuppie Agent, followed by Canvas's Pride on the stand side, with Militant Lad on the silly side, and Ben's Boo Boo. And further behind them come Lawson's Cots, just showing from Butcher Baker, with Lost Deposit, the back marker. Over on the far right, Low Fat Curry takes the lead, coming up now to the first fence. Stay clear of the first fence as they come.
I wanted pretty much the same effect
Yeah.
for this, but of course, no one can be seen doing this with their mics
No.
on the stage. That's not going to work because it needs a hand mic, really.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, how am I going to get that effect? And I put this quandary to the beautiful Bianca Blezard, who came to. Yes, I know. Yes, she's an absolute angel.
No, it was more that your reaction to what she did
Yes.
just warmed my heart.
Yeah.
When you threw that pen.
Yeah.
If you've not seen it.
No, there were some lovely moments, and she just made every song vibrant and exciting. She
God.
put so much. She was only with us for 2 hours, wasn't she? And she
Felt
just
like 10 minutes.
yeah, she just lifted everything.
Yeah.
And one thing that I needed to do was try and add some motion to this thing. I'd originally had visions of her turning the violin upside down.
Yeah.
And going drum 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 on the body of the violin.
Yeah.
Now, she tried it, she was game for it, and she said, honestly, this instrument I don't want to do that with because it's
Yeah.
expensive.
Very expensive.
And I absolutely understood that. And I said, right,
Yeah.
so what are we going to do then?
Yeah.
And then she said, well, if you're wanting movement, one thing I can do is this. And we're going to show you the clip when she told me about something called a ricochet.
Yeah.
I don't score for strings, but I've had to do it for this violin, and she was walking me through exactly what to do, and she came up with this rhythm on the violin, which involved a ricochet, which meant ding-a-dum, ding-a-dum. But what you actually do is bounce the string off. So you've got to use a certain string, and you can bounce the string and pull it back, and it gives it movement. And she said, it's the William Tell Overture. Which sounds like a horse race.
We could do that for ages, couldn't we?
But that's also the pace and the rhythm of 2-horse race.
Yeah.
So what we have now within the orchestration is with a ricochet string. And you're going to see, I'm going to show you now exactly how we came up with that together within 5 minutes. Bianca Blezard, take it away. What I need is an effect of horses. It's a 2-horse race.
Okay.
So when Rory Bremner used to impersonate a horse commentator, what he used to do was, and then when there's a fence, he used to go,
Yeah.
if you're mic'd, could you, is there anything without the bow or anything, can you tap on the violin and get that sort of effect?
Yes.
Can you?
Kind of.
And it would resonate through the mic.
If you had it close enough to the mic.
If you were to,
have to hold it in your knees and do it with 2 hands.
That's harder.
I mean with it balanced onto your chin. Balanced onto your chin with the neck underneath in your.
Oh, like that?
Yeah.
That's definitely not something I've ever come across anyone doing.
No.
No. I'm not sure about that one.
That's actually it. That is what I'm after. Because it sounds hollow. It sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you'd have to do it for a solid 2 minutes of.
The only other thing, and I know this sounds ridiculous, but the only other thing you could do is literally give the violinist some coconut shells and let them do it down
I don't want to. But that's the point. If I was to do that, I'd just give it to the cast.
Yeah,
because they could have coconut shells. When you hear a horse race, you don't hear coconuts.
Right.
That's clippity clippity clippity. No, it's. And that's exactly it.
So you'd have to make sure that they actually scored it, because I happen to also be a horse rider. So literally, the only reason that I know that it sounds like that is because they go digga-dum, 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 digga-dum. It's 1 2 3 1 2 3. So you'd have to put that in like maybe.
That's how it is. It's how it's scored for coconuts. But that's what I need.
You could do that. You could get them sometimes. So it depends. Some people are very precious about their violins. I might not want to. This is normally the way we would do it.
Could you bring a worse one?
If you had a worse one.
Have you got a worse one?
No. I spend all my money on electric violins.
Could you tap the back?
You could. Yes. Literally,
Would
you
that
could.
be safer?
I don't know. People don't like resting this that way up. Honestly, you could either do it like that.
Yeah.
Or you could do it like this.
That feels less safe.
I don't know, actually. If anything, that
feels better.
Yeah, maybe. Or
it's exactly the sort of sound I want. Because there's nothing else in it for the violin. It's
now
this.
you should have had your money down before the gun. And I'm not sure that the horse is gonna last. She's already
actually easier as a 4.
5 to 1. And it's probably run a horse by horse.
Galloping, technically.
That's what it needs to be.
In the final stretch. And dismount the one-trick pony.
The violinist might not thank you for this.
No. But
Violinists may not know. You might want to do it in terms of like, if you do it as perhaps a section and then give them a rest and then another section and then give them a rest. Is that possible?
That, of course, because it's all verses.
Right.
So you just do it as one verse. And I'd probably link with the choreographer there and see what they want. Because if people are miming doing that and you've got that, possible.
Yeah, you could do that. So if you put it in as 4s, digga-da-dum, 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 maybe, I think that's like triplet semiquavers or something. Digga-da-dum, 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 digga-da-dum. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Are you still filming that, by the way? Because it means I don't have to write it.
Great, yeah.
It's great. So it's not diddle-dum, diddle-dum. It's diddle-dum, diddle-dum.
Yeah, I think that's probably easier, bearing in mind that the music feels very in 4. So if you're doing...
Okay. So I'll do a verse like that, and then you can grab and do a bone.
Yeah. You can do literally whatever you want. Also, you can do... it depends on, again, the player, but...
Disgrace. You'll be sucking from the brakes with 16 hands between your legs after your 2-horse race.
That's what the rest is doing.
It's all but the ever going with a handicap. And there's one
Something like that.
that's
I
carrying
don't know
more weight. The other might have
Can't work out what notes they are.
on the track. But I can see her spurting up the straight and the rough. One takes on any other when to drop down cert. But that don't come off your nose despite the bass.
Easy. Is that okay to do?
Yeah, or if they can't bounce it, they'll just go...
How would I write bounce?
You
The word bounce.
do... if you can put ricochet in.
Ricochet?
Ricochet, yeah. That's when you do... literally use the bounce of the bow to do it.
Can anyone do it? Or is it just something that you can do?
Most people can do it, yeah.
Really?
Decent violinists, yes.
Okay.
So, like, you know,
Tunes. Yeah.
that's the technique they use.
Oh!
So you could do that as well. underneath.
Right, so scoring it that is da-da-dum.
Dugga-dum, dugga-dum, dugga-dum. So that would be, that would be semi-quaver, 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 quaver. Dugga-dum, 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 dugga-dum.
It is William Tell.
Yeah, literally.
I'm writing the William Tell overture also.
Basically, yes. Just with a different chord sequence.
Yeah. Does that actually work? It's that. I don't need any percussion. It's that.
Keep it lower if I were you.
Yeah.
Actually adds to the heighting as well.
Pushes it forward, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then if you have a violin who can't do ricochet, they'll just go.
Right. It's not as good as what we did then.
It's less percussive, but it still works.
Yeah.
So it's accessible to whoever.
Ricochet.
Ricochet. Yeah.
So that was Two Horse Race, which is one of the first big numbers in the show.
It is.
I love the fact that it's juxtaposition. You just said before that it's like a kind of homage to the 70s, and really it's kind of a throwback to outdated views and concepts, which have probably been kind of kept in the piece, as we talked about before. You know, you've toned down on the political satire, on the commentary, on the sexism, on the things that probably were okay 20 years ago when you started writing the piece.
Yeah.
And you've focused it more on keeping it a bit more modern and fresh. But George is that character who's able to cling on to those ideals and those beliefs. And I love the fact that this song follows directly after Pump It Out,
Yes.
which is 100% modern. It's a Zumba class, and it's all women. And you've gone from all women to seeing the
into a
pig-headed
pub.
men in the pub.
Well, I
love
think
that.
it's two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
Because honestly, the reaction, the reason Pump It Out is sexist is because the men expect the women to be a certain shape, and they're feeling societal pressure to do
And
that.
Clive.
And Clive, of course. Clive's under all sorts of pressure. But in terms of Two Horse Race, again, that's a society that's imposing it on the women. I think it's. I've always hated that. And so this is my little rebellion towards that. In fact, the whole musical, you could say, is that, really. But things have to change. This podcast has changed because you don't have a hat. You're in your work gear. Well, you are. We should address the canard.
This is what happens when you have to come directly from work, to be fair. And you forget your cap. It's really annoying.
Oh,
But
man.
the cap will be back next week. That sounds like a hashtag, doesn't it?
It does.
Bring back the cap.
will be back.
Or the cap will be back. Yeah.
But we'll be back next week as well, folks. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Just to let you know that tickets are flying out of the LBT. And if you do want to get them booked, then you can do at www.thelbt.org. So go and buy those tickets now. There are other places you can follow us, of course.
Yep, definitely. So we'll put the Instagram right here, and we'll actually have some content out ready soon. Yes. Very soon. We've been very busy. We've been trying to collate the clips together, finding the right time to work on it. Difficult. Sorry about that, but we've got some followers. We've got people actively engaged and wanting to see it. So let's get it out there. And what you can do in the meantime is you can go back and listen or watch to various episodes of the podcast. We're about halfway through now, really, aren't we? So
we're
more than halfway.
Far more.
We're steamrolling through
I think
them.
at the moment, at the time of recording, we have maybe 10 weeks left to go, 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And so it's getting closer.
Exactly.
And I think we've done something in the region of 17, 18 podcasts now.
It's quite a lot, really,
It's a
isn't
lot.
it?
Yeah.
So there's plenty for you to go back and listen to or watch, and you can get them on YouTube, on Richard's YouTube channel, which, if you're already watching this on YouTube, you already know what that is.
Aye, don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can comment underneath as well.
Exactly. Or you can find the podcast on any of your major streaming platforms. So you've got Spotify, Apple Podcasts, yada, 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 lots of them. And if you want to learn more about this wonderful man, all about the show, the creative side of it, who he is, previous shows he's done, upcoming projects, richsykes.com. That's where you want to head. And I think that pretty much rounds us off, doesn't it?
Certainly does.
Excellent. That's another episode down. So, catch you later. Thanks, guys.